Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and JD Vance isn't just thanking the National Guard troops deployed to DC. He's out there taking shots at the ridiculous protesters that think that they're heckling him. Let's dive in.
I'm honored. Yeah, of course. Yeah, come here. We'll take a photo right now. Where are you from? Oh, great. Okay, awesome. Photo here. And we'll make sure you get a copy.
Yeah, we'll get a copy. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Got it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you. Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you all. How's it going over the hill? Good. Busy summer? Cold summer? Yeah. Super fun? Okay. Good. Okay. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for all your help. Yeah, good to see you all. Hey guys, how we doing? Good. Good to see you guys. Thank you. Oh, I already said hello to you. Hey, guys, how you doing? Appreciate you. Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah, so tell me, is it going a little better here? Hey, super fun. Good to see you. How are you? Good, good. Good to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. Specialist, good to see you, man. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, good to meet you. So where are y'all from? South Carolina. Okay, so pretty much everybody from South Carolina. Okay, Charleston, Columbia. Okay, good. We appreciate you guys helping us out. Thank you. It means a lot. Specialist, how you doing? Sir, how we doing?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. This is a lot more fun like I do most days. All right, appreciate it. Good to see you, man. Thanks for all your help. So, look, guys, what we wanted to do here was a couple things. First of all, we wanted to say come and say thank you to the National Guards folks, to the cops, for actually keeping this place safe. If you look at what's happened in Washington, D.C. in just the past 9 days, we've seen a 35% reduction in violent crime. We've seen over a 50% reduction in robberies. We are seeing really substantial effects because these guys are busting their ass. So I want to come here, highlight what they're doing, say thank you in person, obviously pass out a few burgers, but most of all, just send a message to the American people. Look, we don't have to live like this. We do not have to allow our cities to be taken over by violence and by disorder and by chaos. You can actually do stuff. You can actually bring law and order to communities. You've just got to have the political willpower to do it. And I think you hear these guys outside here screaming at us. Of course, these are a bunch of crazy protesters. But I'll tell you, a couple of years ago when I brought my kids here, they were being screamed at by violent vagrants, and it was scaring the hell out of my kids. And one of the things that we've done already in Union Station in just 9 days is we've made it a place where people can walk around safely. They can bring their kids again. They can see this beautiful monument, the architecture. They can have a meal with their friends and their loved ones because, again, we brought some law and order back to Washington, D.C. So I want to thank Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller. I want to thank all the people, the guardsmen here and the police officers who have worked very hard. And I know that we've traded now some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president. But I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. And the last thing I'll say is to the American people, D.C. is already safer than it was 9 days ago, but we're going to make it safer still to come. This is your city. You should feel free to come and visit here, have a meal, see all these incredible monuments, and actually enjoy yourself. And that's what we're trying to make happen. And I think that if we set a standard in Washington, D.C., that political willpower can bring some common sense, law and order back to these communities, then maybe some other communities and other cities will follow suit. So it's kind of crazy. You hear these guys outside. They appear to hate the idea that Americans can enjoy their communities. They do the fact that D.C. a week ago had a higher murder rate than Trinidad and Tobago, which the United States State Department has said you shouldn't visit because it's unsafe. We ought to be able to enjoy great American cities. That's what we're trying to do with the Trump administration. And we want to thank all of our law enforcement and National Guardsmen for making it possible. We made a lot of progress in 9 days. We're going to make a whole lot more.
JD Vance brings a completely different political aura to a situation. And something that's very unique. And of course, you got to measure that up against President Trump and the way he does his speeches, his little dance moves. But the reality is, J.D. Vance brings that homespun Appalachian humility and tries to make everything about the people. All right, he has come from one of the poorer regions of America, went to Yale Law School. Just Yale. I don't think he's been to law school. But correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. That's what the comments are for. And then he has served with the Marines in Iraq. And so once a Marine, always a Marine. But the coolest thing is the dude's just a homespun, down-to-earth guy. And you can tell that just with the body language. And then showing that sharp wit of his. There's a reason that he has a best-selling book. He turns around and makes the whole talking points about how crazy these people seem to be. When, on one hand, they're trying to provide some law and order in D.C., which richly needs it. Seriously, y'all. People in D.C., you know what happens when you cross over the Anacostia. Things get weird. Okay? That's where Mambo sauce is made. That's where interesting things happen. Hey, y'all. Experts say they rig the markets, print the money, and manipulate the system. But here's the truth. They can't print gold. While the dollar weakens, physical gold and silver stay real, tangible, uncontrolled. When banks go digital and emergencies lock you out of your own funds, gold and silver won't need an internet connection or government permission. Their value is outside the system, a time-tested insurance policy against tyranny, inflation, and economic resets. So don't wait until the trap is sprung. Own what the elites hoard behind closed doors. Physical gold and silver off the grid, because when the system fails, real money talks. And to help you learn more about owning physical gold and silver, we have partnered with the great company Goldco, which supports this channel, which we deeply appreciate. So check out politbralgold.com for more info, and see if you might even qualify for free silver. That's politbralgold.com. And the fact that the DC had to be federalized, and you had to bring in the National Guard in order to have a crackdown on crime, tells me that people like Muriel Bowser doesn't want to do the hard work. As a matter of fact, it has been so politically positive that even Democrat mayors, like in Maryland, Wes Moore, has even come to the conclusion that, yeah, defunding the police was a mistake. We need to refund the police, sort of up the ante, and actually deal in some other areas to be innovative. That's positive. That's a good thing. I rag on the Democrats all the time on this channel, and that's good governing. Thank you, Wes Moore, and thank you, J.D. Vance. And by the way, that last little line about the kids, because he got heckled at Disneyland, of all places. The happiest place on earth still manages to have liberals heckling him. And the reality is, why? Sorry, the reality is this question, why? Why do you care about this in the way that you do? Why are these protesters out there saying, we need to free DC? No, you need to guide it with a stronger hand, okay? Again, this is the problem of being so forward-thinking that you just need to continue to go forward, right? That's a great notion if you're, aren't standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon. That first step's a doozy. You don't keep going forward at that point. You back up and go back to what works. These people don't understand that. These liberals, and the craziest thing of all of this, they think that they're actually liberating folks. They actually think that they're doing good work. They think they're doing the Lord's work, when all they're doing is adding noise and cacophony all across these halls. And meanwhile, you have J.D. Vance just talking to the media, being positive, telling the reality, even quoting numbers that I believe that the DC police staff are probably admitting in places that they're not allowed to talk about. And what's happening now is you also have him standing next to Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth. And Stephen Miller so far has been just an animal, just an absolute political animal. He's been fantastic at his job. And Pete Hegseth has pretty much one goal in mind: get woke out of the military. Let's start taking out the nonsense and start making the military whole again. And then you have J.D. Vance, who's playing, quite honestly, the number 2 character. Okay, he's not the main character. We all know that belongs to Donald Trump. He's always had main character energy. But J.D. Vance is playing his role perfectly, but he's also showing off that, hey, this guy can actually lead. So I've got a huge belief that J.D. Vance will win in 2028. I'm not worried about guys like Gavin Newsom. That dude's fake. Americans don't like fake. We have always hated fake. and we can smell it a mile away. And J.D. Vance, on the other hand, he's authentic. He's real. He is that hillbilly that came out of northern Appalachia, beat poverty, all right, and had the mind and the heart and soul to keep going forward. Then he writes an amazing book. He serves overseas. He then becomes a senator, and then Donald Trump taps him to become the vice president after a near-death experience, all because J.D. Vance is indeed an authentic human being. With, by the way, a very pretty family. Those kids are adorable. How could you sit there and then heckle those kids? And he was talking about that in one of the stories he was sharing, that it was at the time, a couple of years ago, that some vagrant was being crazy. And now it's what's allegedly normal people are out there screaming, "Free DC! Free it!" Madam, ladies, these were all female voices. We're liberating it. Okay? We're going in, we're ripping out some of the problems that we know are problems, and we're trying to ensure that, hey, we're making these streets safe again. And people, for the most part, have responded positive to this. Even people inside DC itself. And the reality is, in DC, there's only a handful of truly safe neighborhoods, and it's this weird stretch that sort of mirrors the National Mall going all the way out to Georgetown. Outside of that, you're going to run into some problems. All because DC doesn't know how to properly govern itself, because it hasn't for a long time. And now, Daddy's home, and he's dealing out some consequences. And so far, these consequences seem to be positive. That's what I'm getting from the guardsmen that are there serving in their capacity in order to make sure that the DC residents are indeed safe. This is a good thing, ladies and gentlemen, and J.D. Vance is showing what the future might look like. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoy that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.